Thank you to my friends Septishana and Sahari Green for helping in the campaign to save a child's life. Thanks, guys. The Game of Thrones Blu-rays have history and lore videos, right? Well, on the Season 7 Blu-ray, they shared something pretty cool about the Unsullied and the Dothraki. It's the kind of thing that, if it happens and if you know about it, then you're going to sound really cool at the water cooler at work on the Monday morning following the episode. Well, you probably sound like a tool, a huge nerd, but in my book, that makes you pretty cool. So here it is. The story tends to repeat, right? Kind of. 2 weeks ago, Shadow Dan shared a great quote from the late great Mark Twain. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. I'm pretty dumb, so it took me a few seconds to understand that quote. I'll give you guys a few seconds in case you're dumb too. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. Pretty cool. This is very true in A Song of Ice and Fire.
You believe your king can win?
He is the one true king.
You Westerosi are funny people. Man chops off your fingers and you fall in love with him.
I'll not sit here and swallow insults from a boy so green he pisses grass. Your meat is bloody tough.
And somehow, after that, the Great John became Rob's right hand, his staunchest champion, loudly telling all and sundry that the boy lord was a Stark after all, and they damn well better bend their knees if they didn't fancy having them chewed off. It's not exactly the same scenario, but it rhymes. So let's get to the meat of this video. I believe that one event at the Battle of Winterfell, or the Battle of Winterfell, or the battle where winter falls, one event of this battle, or one of the songs that goes down at the Battle of Winterfell, might rhyme with the legendary song that happened about 400 years prior to the current story. It's referred to as the 3000 of Qohor. For more details, check the link above. It's the video I mentioned from the Season 7 History and Lore video. Alright, so the 3000 of Qohor. The short version is that a pretty big Khalasar, around 50,000 people. It was led by this guy called Khal Temo. He was about to attack and pillage the free city of Qohor. So Qohor they bought 3,000 unsullied slave soldiers to defend the city against the fighting portion of the Dothraki horde, which is about 20,000 Dothraki screamers.
18 times the horse lords charged, and 18 times the Unsullied locked their shields, lowered their spears, and held the line against 20,000 Dothraki screamers.
Thrice, Temo sent his archers wheeling past, and arrows fell like rain upon the 3,000. But the Unsullied merely lifted their shields above their heads until the squall passed. In the end, only 600 of them remained. But more than 12,000 Dothraki lay dead upon the field, including Khal Temo, his blood riders, his Khas, and all his sons. On the morning of the fourth day, the new Khal led the survivors past the city gates in a stately procession. One by one, each man cut off his braid and threw it down before the feet of the 3,000. Since that day, the city guard of Qohor has been made up solely of Unsullied, every one of whom carries a tall spear from which hangs a braid of human hair. That's pretty gnarly. So this is how it might translate to Season 8. Instead of Qohor, it's Winterfell. And instead of the Dothraki, we've got the Army of the Dead. The Army of the Dead might crash into the Unsullied shield wall over and over, but the disciplined Unsullied soldiers might be able to resist at a great cost. Most of them are going to die. Or how about this? It rhymes even better with the past song. So the Dothraki, they're not meant for the cold, right? Neither are their horses. But that's not going to stop them. They're pretty badass. Picture them charging around the Army of the Dead with flaming arcs or dragonglass weapons. They do a ton of damage, but eventually all the Dothraki go down. Because the Army of the Dead's pretty big. It's huge. All of a sudden, the Night King raises them. So they get back up on their dead horses and they charge Winterfell as whites fighting for the Army of the Dead, only to run into a shield wall of disciplined Unsullied, just like it went down at Qohor, the 3000 of Qohor. And let's not forget, Jorah convinced Dany to get the Unsullied in the first place by describing this very battle. So maybe we'll get a payoff. Alright, catch you on the flip side.